Drones are evolving so fast in Ukraine that a design is often obsolete before it leaves the workshop. Every few weeks, a new iteration reaches the front, shifting how forces move, hide, and engage. Up close, the weapon of choice is the FPV quadcopter. Because operators have direct control at all times, these drones can hover in place, navigate right into an open repair bay, and drop a payload with pinpoint precision. This diagram shows the mechanical penalty of that precision. To stay airborne, the rotors have to spin constantly against gravity. That drains the battery rapidly, trapping these tools within a tight, rigid radius along the front line. To hit anything further away, Ukraine relies on fixed-wing glider drones. Once they reach altitude, they can conserve fuel and coast for hundreds of miles to strike distant infrastructure, like deep-state oil refineries. The trade-off is control. Gliders require physical launch systems like massive slingshots, and the further they fly out of line of sight, the more vulnerable they become to electronic warfare, severing their connection. Commanders are left holding two highly specialized, inflexible tools. They can thread a needle in a trench at 5 kilometers, or they can lob explosives at a facility 600 miles away. This is a stylized tactical map illustrating the operational ranges of both weapon types. Notice the gap. Between the close combat frontline and those far-off strategic targets lies a massive dead zone, sitting exactly between 30 and 100 kilometers behind Russian lines. The Russian military recognized this geographical gap and built their strategy around it. They used this exact pocket to safely set up staging camps, park heavy armor, and run repair bays, entirely out of reach of precision drone strikes. By prepositioning huge logistical caches right on the edge of that safe zone, equipment and personnel are funneled straight to the trenches on a daily basis. It functions as the circulatory system, keeping their war machine alive. Breaking the grinding stalemate required a physical mechanism to reach into that specific, untouchable pocket of territory and destroy the supply lines at their source. By controlling the 30 to 100 kilometer zone, an army determines how long its forward units can survive and how much force it can actually mass for an attack. In May, a mechanical solution appeared. Ukrainian forces began deploying a new class of hybrid drone built to merge the two existing flight profiles. The launch mirrors a standard quadcopter. Using horizontal rotors, the craft achieves thrust by lifting straight off the ground, granting the operator precise vertical control. Once the craft builds forward momentum, the structure transforms. Detachable wings physically snap into place mid-air, locking into a rigid, horizontal gliding position. The design seamlessly trades the hovering precision of a close-quarters launch for the coasting forward momentum of a fixed-wing glider. By hacking the two designs together, engineers bypassed the physical barrier that had walled off the Russian rear, exposing an untouched layer of the battlefield. This diagram illustrates why standard quadcopters fail at long distances. Forcing the rotors to constantly generate downward thrust to fight gravity exhausts the battery capacity in a matter of minutes. Introducing a fixed wing changes the aerodynamic equation. The airflow over the wing structure generates passive upward lift, allowing the operator to power down the vertical rotors and dedicate the remaining battery entirely to forward speed. The efficiency gains are immediate. Over the course of just a few weeks, the maximum strike range for close-in operators jumped from 25 kilometers to 100 kilometers. That extra passive lift also improves the weight-to-thrust ratio, meaning these long-range units can carry heavier explosive payloads than their standard hovering counterparts. With the addition of a simple wing, the operational reach of the Ukrainian frontline expands from a small local radius into a 100-kilometer strike zone. On the tactical map, the impact is highly visible. The staging ground housing Russian reserves erupts with strike markers, becoming a volatile no-man's land. Advanced models fly deep into this territory, autonomously shattering the supply lines, delivering essential gear. For the troops stationed in the forward trenches, the effect is severe. Units are suddenly isolated, cut off entirely from reliable shipments of food, water, and replacement armor. Zooming out to the strategic level, the destruction of these caches physically prevents Russian commanders this logistical collapse before their enemy adapts. The hybrid drone erased the geographic buffer that defined the early years of this war. If Ukrainian armor can successfully carve a path through the ground defenses now, they will advance against an isolated enemy with no functioning supply lines to fall back on.